Good evening, my fellow Americans.
Take the red pill.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
The disastrous rise of misplaced power exists.
All we have built, all we have worked for, would be destroyed.
There is nothing the political establishment will not do.
And this nation will not be fully free until all its citizens are free.
Our arms must be mighty, ready for instant action,
These criminals cannot be rewarded.
so that no potential aggressor may be tempted to risk his own destruction.
There is a point beyond which they must not advance.
They're coming after you, and I'm just standing in their way. Here I am.
You and I have a rendezvous with destiny.
The cost of freedom is always high.
Those who had the most to lose did the least to prevent its happening.
Our movement is about replacing a failed and corrupt political establishment.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers.
This is a crusade! This is a holy war against the deep state!
We never wanted to be right, but yet things are all adding up to the firestorm.
Well, I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullshit pay, so I can sit out here and waste my life away, drag back home and drown my troubles away. It's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me, people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. Oh, it is living in the new world with an whole soul. These rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just wanna have total control. Wanna know what you think, wanna know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do. 'Cause your dollar ain't shit, and it's taxed to no end, 'cause the rich men, don't the rich men. I wish politicians would look out for minors, and not just minors on an island somewhere. Lord, we got folks in the street, ain't got nothing to eat, and the obese milking welfare. Well, God, if you're 5'3" and you're 300 pounds, taxes ought not to pay for your bags of fudge rounds. Young men are putting themselves 6 feet in the ground, 'cause all this damn country does is keep on kicking them down. Lord, it's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me, people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. Oh, it is living in the new world with an whole soul. These rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just wanna have total control. Wanna know what you think, wanna know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do. 'Cause your dollar ain't shit, and it's taxed to no end, 'cause the rich men, north of rich men. I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullshit pay.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. My name is Josh. Welcome to the Red Pill Project's Daily Dose, live with you Monday through Thursday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. This is where we bring you the unfolding global conspiracy. And that right there was Oliver Anthony, Rich Men North of Richmond. You can find that on his YouTube channel that you can just search out Oliver Anthony, Rich Man North of Richmond. You can find it on TikTok. You can find it on Instagram. You can find it everywhere. What a great song. Whether we believe in the same things, the ideologies that these people share or not is irrelevant. His song was incredibly correct and true. And that's really what we're fighting for. We're fighting for a chance to get back to the United States of America, to get back to that dream of what this place used to be, the beacon of freedom around the world, and stop this invasion on freedom. And that's the truth, isn't it? And you know what that takes? That takes patriots right there. That's what it takes. It takes patriots. And you know, the one thing I love about this audience, this family, it's a family. It's not an audience. It's a family. If you're on the social red pill, you know this more than anything. We're a family here. One thing I love about it is that everybody is a patriot. Everybody just loves this country. Everybody's willing to fight and to give and sacrifice for this country, for a better place for their kids. At the end of the day, you know, we can take all of our ideologies and we can move them aside, and we can see that we have so much in common. And those things that we have in common are community, family, the ability to love one another, the ability to go out there and make something of our lives, to do what we wish and what we love to do. I mean, those are the things that are at the heart and the core of America. And, you know, around the world right now, we're a laughing stock. Right now, around the world, a lot of countries want to do us harm. And it's not because of the American people. It's not because of you and me. It's because of politicians. It's because of bureaucrats. It's because of the deep state. It's because of large financial institutions who have bludgeoned this whole planet dry of resources and wealth for a very, very long time and filled their pockets with money, power through the utilization of greed, and through the consent that we have given them over the last 100 years. Those times are coming to an end. And I assure you that they are coming to an end, because here's the thing. I'm willing to stand up, to fight, to rise, to die for freedom, so that my children's children can live somewhat near of a life that I lived, that my great-grandfather lived, my grandfather lived, my great-great-grandfather lived. Because there is a cost to freedom. It does have a price. And, you know, going in and doing this almost every day of the week, it gets hard sometimes. I don't know if you guys realize that. You know, watching all of this unfold, seeing all of this happen, seeing kind of how it all comes together over the years. It gets hard. It gets incredibly hard watching all the work and the effort that we do to spread the message, to get the information out there. Yet still the agenda progresses. Still we are on the brink of World War III. Still the dollar is worth shit. You know, as much as it affects me, as much as I feel sometimes I carry the weight of the world on my shoulders, I'm hopeful. And that's one thing that we all need, is a little bit of hope, something to dream for, something to look for in the future, and then say, you know what, we can work towards that goal, and we can have that if we really, really tried hard enough. And see, that's the thing, is American people all over this country for the last 8 years have been rising up to the heights which have never probably been seen before in this country. Now, the methodologies in which they use are much, much different than what was used 100 years ago, but still, people are becoming active. People are building communities. People are building parallel systems. People see through the bullshit. They see through the veil of deception. And God help us all. We're going to take back our country, I assure you, one way or another. Tonight's show is called The World is on the Brink. And absolutely, the world is on the brink, man. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. We have Tammy Cuthbert Garcia coming on here in about 20 minutes. So I'm going to whip through some news and we're going to get through that. First thing I want to talk about, though, is, you know, this is my life. This is what I do for a living. And you guys have given me that opportunity. And I just wanted to thank you all for that. I wanted to thank you for that opportunity to do what I love, to do, you know, what I care about for a living, is going out there and creating content, being a podcaster, radio show host, going out there and delivering the news and using my mind to extrapolate what potentially could be next in the sense of how this is all unraveling, and being able to have that foresight to see kind of how it's all put together. And then over the last few years, I'm blessed to be accurate, which I don't want to be accurate. I don't want to be accurate with a lot of these things, but we are. So I just wanted to thank all of you guys, because, as much as I do carry the weight of the world on my shoulders, I really do enjoy this, especially Friday nights is what I really enjoy. I love going through the news of the week, even as bad as it can be and as dark as it can be, but then get to Friday night and expand and explore our minds and talk about fringe topics. So I wanted to thank all of you guys for that. You guys are absolutely amazing. A few things I want to do as we get started here. Number one is, yesterday I sent out a message to every member of the Social Red Pill. If you are on the Social Red Pill, you should have saw an email saying, hey, you have a message from Josh. This is about the camping trip. The camping trip is July 25th through the 28th. This is a Thursday through a Sunday, July 25th through the 28th. It is in Eureka, Missouri. It is on private land, 100 acres of private land by one of the members of the Red Pill Project. There is electric hookups, water hookups. You can bring your toys, you can bring your guns. We're thinking about having a pig roast, but we need an RSVP. So if you're thinking about going or you are going, what I urge you to do is go log into the socialredpill.com, go in there and RSVP that you are coming or maybe will be coming, because that's going to help us plan the festivities that we're going to do over those 4 days. So much appreciated on all of that. And by the way, there's no cost. I mean, just your transportation there is the only cost. You can bring a tent. You can use Outdoorsy and get an RV if you want to. You can, sleep out under the stars. I don't care. There will be nothing there, though, for you to sleep in. So if you do come, please bring a tent, an RV or something of that nature, or have those things there. So you can find all that information on socialredpill.com. Socialredpill.com, if you didn't know, is a private social network that we have here at the Red Pill Project. And it's a way to help and support everything that I do and we do as a collective. So if you want to sign up to that, it's like a cup of coffee, $5 a month to sign up for that. You get access. Much love and appreciation for everybody who does. It helps us out massively. And we got a few little things on there. Tonight, the After Dark Q&A, the after show Q&A, that is with myself. So that is Thursday nights. It starts at about 10 p.m. Eastern time. Will be a live Q&A tonight. It goes for about an hour, 2 hours. Sometimes it goes 6 to 10 hours, but who knows? So if you want to join Social Red Pill, you'll get in on that tonight as well. Tomorrow night, Fringe After Dark. Then the next thing is we are going to start doing show sponsors. One of the reasons is we got to keep the lights on. We got to be able to help keep the Red Pill Project going as we grow into decentralized media. We got a whole bunch of stuff happening on decentralized media on the back end. I can talk about it, but maybe I'll just talk about it tonight. But there's not, it's not going away. It's here. We're just putting things together, which is more structured than we thought it was going to be, and taking a little bit more time than we thought. So just keep your eyes open for all of that. But our show sponsor tonight is Pet Club 247. If you guys have not heard of them, Pet Club 247, you need to. We've had massive amounts of testimony about Pet Club and everything that they have there. Right here, I'm going to put a link up there, redpills.tv/mushroom. If you had not heard of the Coriolis versicolor mushroom, over 120 peer-reviewed studies on this mushroom alone. This is one of the main foods that they give to people in Japan who are being treated for cancer. So it is an immune modulating mushroom that helps massively with the immune system. I can't make any claims for it, but there's testimonials all over the place about this product. We've had them on this show when Kurt and Kristen come on, or Chris Eriks comes on. The testimonials are massive. Everything from migraines and headaches going away to people feeling better after being sick with the flu, seasonal allergies, to helping people heal from more severe autoimmune conditions. So just keep that in mind. You can check that out there. But they also have products for pets. So that's the other thing, is they also have products for your pets, dogs and cats, as well as they have coffee and cookies and all types of stuff for other family members. So you can check that out, redpills.tv/pets. That'll take you on over there, or redpills.tv/mushroom. And that's just a way to support us, guys. Much love. And thank you, Tara, one of my first mods over there, for putting all that information out there. You're awesome. She's putting the links out there on D Live, which is spreading out through all of our channels. Okay, guys, let's get rocking and rolling. It's an interesting world, isn't it? The world is on the brink, but Donald Trump kind of just keeps that hope alive, doesn't he? I posted on my X account today, Trump 2024. End the Fed, end proxy wars, end income taxes, end the Department of Education, dismantle the CIA, FBI, close the border, eliminate cartels, impose term limits on Congress, pro-Bitcoin, decentralized crypto, prosecute the deep state, and much, much more. That's Donald Trump's 2024 platform. I mean, whew, that's pretty massive. Trump drops bombshell proposal, allegedly suggested eliminating income tax in favor for high import tariffs during DC Republicans meeting today. This is fantastic. Let's listen to a little clip of this meeting with Donald Trump and what he has to say, because I just love listening to this man talk sometimes.
Strong military. We want to see money not wasted all over the world. We don't want to see Russian ships right off the coast of Florida, which is what they are right now. That's unthinkable. We want to see just success for our country. And we don't have success right now. We have inflation that's killing everybody. We have levels of inflation that nobody's seen for, they say 42 years, they say 53 years, and they say 75 years. I would say probably all of them are wrong. Probably we've never seen levels like this before. And we're going to end that. We're going to bring back our jobs. We're going to bring back common sense to government. We're going to have strong borders.
And there you heard it from the man himself. Everything that we listed in Trump 2024, and then he went out and proposed. I was looking for the quote. Great meetings with Republican representatives, lots discussed, all positive, great poll numbers. He came out for 10 months. China has been paying tariffs to the USA on 25% of $50 billion of high tech and 10% on $200 billion of other goods. These payments are partially responsible for our great economic results. This is May 5th, 2019, when he did this on X. The 10% will go up to 25% on Friday. $325 billion of additional goods sent to us by China remain untaxed, but will be shortly at a rate of 25%. The tariffs paid to the USA have little impact on product costs, mostly borne by China. The trade deal with China continues, but not slowly, as they attempt to renegotiate, and he says no. So he wants to utilize tariffs to go out there and pay for the government instead of utilizing taxes. Now, this is one of the main reasons that China is being aggressive towards the United States and becoming a threat to the United States, because China has had it easy for the last 50 years. But just imagine getting 20, 30, 40, 50% more of your paycheck to you to spend on things. And yes, things that are imported are going to cost a little bit more, but eventually you could pay off the national debt with those tariffs. You could reduce the amount of inflation on the US dollar, but we know that the US dollar is going away. But, you know, Donald Trump knows this too. But we have to understand that when we get into a stable type of currency, the act of not having an income tax is going to be absolutely massive. It's almost as if Donald Trump has been out there talking to Dr. Ron Paul. I mean, former Congressman Dr. Ron Paul. At least that's what I think. Who knows? Tucker Carlson joined Alex Jones today, and they toyed with the idea that something drastic could happen to Donald Trump. And I do agree with the sentiment that you got to remember, they will scorch this earth before they ever give up power, and that potentially they're going to take out Donald Trump. So listen to what they talk about right now, Alex Jones and Tucker Carlson.
By the way, I think it's a little bit too obvious to, shoot people in a motorcade.
They'll poison him.
Do you know what I mean? 61 years later. Yeah. Or, people, there are a lot of ways. I mean, you do sort of wonder how Jack Ruby died of galloping cancer like a week before his second trial. Like, what was that?
Yeah, they have weaponized cancer that'll kill you in 2 weeks.
By a CIA psychiatrist. Jolly West visits him, and then next thing you know, I've got terminal cancer. I'm dead in a week. Okay. So, look, I don't know. I'm not a physician. I'm not a master of the dark arts. But I don't think like shooting people in public is it's a little bit obvious at this point, but there are lots of ways that, like, honestly, if you think this is a spiritual war and you're not saying prayers every day, then you don't really think it's a spiritual war, do you? Right? And I obviously, so I really do think it's a spiritual war. I really do believe that. And these are physical manifestations of an age-old conflict. I mean, literally age-old. Since the beginning of time, this conflict has been playing out. And we have the privilege of knowing that. Like, this is kind of the last conclusion I ever thought I would come to in my life, growing up in a materialist, rational world in Southern California in the 70s and 80s. If you'd told me that by 55, I'd be like sitting talking to Alex Jones about how we're in a spiritual war, I would have been like, what? No, I don't think so. But it's just so obvious. And so I do think prayer plays a huge, huge role in this, like a pivotal role in it. And I hope people take that seriously. But they can't allow him. I've only reached this conclusion recently because it's not obvious as a political analysis. Like, there are other ways to get what you want than what they're doing. But Trump as a symbol is deadly to them. If Trump is elected again, their whole system, like, they fear that their whole system, and not just the government, but, the spider web of NGOs and publicly traded businesses.
It emboldens the people. I mean, that's it. He's not out to get the people, even though he makes mistakes. He's pro-human, pro-populist. He went to Kim Jong-un and said, let's just build hotels and casinos. What's your problem? He wants success, and they're feudal controllers. They don't want that.
Well, I just think as a symbol, you're absolutely right. But as a symbol, if he becomes president, what does it suggest? It suggests that their whole sort of empire of bullshit is like collapsing.
Their empire of bullshit is collapsing. And see, that's the message that is being sent when Donald Trump wins in 2024/2025. And that's why I've said since the beginning, they cannot give up power. They will scorch this earth before they ever do, or they will attempt to take out Donald Trump. Now, a few indications that bring rise to this. The first indictment in New York City happened on the anniversary of the assassination attempt on President Ronald Reagan. The first arraignment happened on the 55th anniversary of the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. And the first Jack Smith indictment happened on the anniversary of the assassination of Henry VIII. So those are three clear indications of symbolism being utilized as a message platform to Donald Trump to not push forward. But they've tried the character assassination. They've tried the felonies, and they know it's not going to work. And so they only have a few options left. And I think that they potentially are going to move towards that. And it could happen during the summer of love when the illegal immigrant crisis rises to the streets and becomes deadly and violent. And those types of things could escalate from that point. I hope not. I sure in the hell hope not. But pray for Donald Trump, because he is, like Tucker just said there, he is that beacon. He is that symbol of MAGA. That's see, Donald Trump isn't MAGA. We are MAGA. We are conservatives. We are Americans. Donald Trump is the symbol. He carries the symbol of who and what we are and what we represent. He carries the symbol of giving the power back to the people. And that is a powerful message to be relaying back and forth. And they don't like that because, as Tucker and Alex just said, it symbolizes the destruction of the deep state. This symbolizes the destruction of their government. Shock poll: 66% of voters believe outcome of the 2024 presidential election will be affected by cheating. Rasmussen polls: fully 2/3 of voters are worried that cheating could affect this year's election. And many of them still don't trust electronic voting machines. And now this isn't just Republicans. This is Republicans, Democrats, Independents, and moderates. 2/3, over 75 votes. So that's 66.4% of voters believe that cheating will take part in this election. And Democrats probably believe that the Republicans will, and the Republicans probably believe the Democrats will. It doesn't matter. It's going to be the deep state. The deep state will, because that's what they do. But I don't think they can get away with it as much as they traditionally have gotten away with it. I think that what they'll do is they'll strategically do this, and they'll target various different congressional districts that they know that are very, very close, that they can potentially win with a few thousand votes. And that's what they will do. They'll push for House majority, at least of the Senate or of Congress. They need at least one House in the win in October. If they do that, then we could see a powerful transition actually occur with them having at least the Senate or the House, similar to what happened in 2018. I don't know for sure, but I know that they're going to target various different congressional districts. For sure, they have to, because that means that if they get power of the House and the Senate, or at least of one of the houses, they have some type of effect that they can push back on January 6th and December 14th. Which are critical for the state certifications of the elections. Transcript of Special Counsel Hur's interview with Biden ghostwriter Mark Zawinitzer, what the hell kind of name is that? Released. Biden stole classified doc scandal, much worse than we thought. We find out that here's what we found in the transcript following our big illegal win last night. This is the Oversight Project. Biden's ghostwriter, Mike Zawinitzer, admitted he deleted the audio recordings of Biden's interview after Hur was appointed special counsel. Hur's team, I read too fast, was appointed special counsel. Hur's team still found them. And the transcript is there, that it is on my X account. You can see that there. And so basically, Biden's ghostwriter destroyed evidence. Interesting, isn't it? We'll talk about Biden here in a little bit. And once Tammy comes in, this will be getting good too. We're going to talk about some things. But just understand that this is what the deep state is. The deep state is corrupt beyond corruption. And there's things that had happened or are way worse than what Joe Biden has done and did in the past that you haven't even heard about yet. And they involve Hillary Rodham Clinton. They involve Bill Clinton. They involve Barack Obama, John Brennan. Things that happened during their 8 years in office, massive amounts of things. You don't even want to know what some of this stuff is. But when it does come out, it is going to be fireworks for sure. But right now, the focus is on the things that you can prove and the things that you can get out and get special counsels to investigate on. And this happens from basically predominantly 2015, the current date, with the Crossfire Hurricane documents that Donald Trump has copies of. We know that they're in the hands of anonymous reporters, giving them to them and completely anonymously. August is the time frame that I believe the drip flood part actually occurs. That's the part that actually makes sense. August, September, October is when all this happens. We're going to head into Red October this year. We got the Navy and submarine that is sitting off the coast of Florida over in Cuba. Buckle up. I want to get into the BRICS news, and then we're going to bring Tammy on. The Chinese yuan becomes the most traded foreign currency on Russia's Moscow Stock Exchange after halting the US dollar and euro transactions. Well, normally that makes sense, but that is a big signal for the BRICS economy that is going to be perpetuated into the future, especially after what? Saudi Arabia Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman declines the invitation to the G7 summit. That's not good for G7 and the Western nations at all. And this is after OPEC ends the 50-year deal with the petrodollar. The dollar is on the decline. And I believe that Donald Trump is probably one of the only people in the world that can actually help save the dollar and get countries buying U.S. bonds again. And China has dropped off over $56 billion in U.S. bonds in just the last week alone. This is a crisis for the dollar because the more of the bonds that go back on the market, the less debt that is actually being sold out to debtors or to creditors. What's going to happen is the Federal Reserve has to buy all that back, and that goes onto the bottom line. And the Federal Reserve has been buying trillions of dollars worth of debt back over the last 4 years under the Biden administration. And this is very, very harmful for our economic model because number one is it props up a false idea what the stock market actually is. Stock market right now is completely 100% oversold and over manipulated. This is probably one of the reasons that BlackRock and Citadel, as well as State Street and a few others, are creating their own new national stock exchange in Texas, which will be tokenized. Now, I've given warnings about that specifically, but it's also a good thing if it can actually be driven up under Trump and the regulations that Trump could actually impose on it, or conservative regulations, fiscal conservative regulations. But we're seeing right now in the economic state of the world, the United States is not doing too well, of which a war would tip us over the edge and crash our economic model. And this would be devastating for the United States of America. And we're actually inching closer and closer to war right now with Russia. Joe Biden just signed a new security agreement with President Zelensky, committing the United States to financially supporting Ukraine for the next 10 years. And this, absolutely includes weapons. And Russia is not going to be happy with this, because basically it's a pact agreement allowing the United States to come in and take military access and control into Ukraine over Russia. And if you remember Vladimir Putin in 2015, that was the one stark warning that he gave Hillary Clinton if she became president: do not do. Not only that, is you have Patriot missile systems that are now being shipped over to Ukraine in response to the Russian Navy fleet that just showed up in Cuba. This is going to escalate into a Bay of Pigs incident, as well is escalate potentially what's going to happen in Eastern Europe. NATO says over 300,000 troops now on high readiness for war in Eastern Europe. What that means, it's not in high readiness. It means it's going to fucking happen. There is going to be some type of clash between Russian forces and NATO in Eastern Europe within the next 2 to 3 months, people. I'm telling you, it's going to happen. And it's going to be a shit show when it does. Hopefully it arises like the conflict between Iran and Israel, but I don't think we're going to be that lucky. I think that it's going to be all out freaking smacks back and forth. U.S. military bases. U.S. military bases unprepared for the rising threats from the Communist Party of China. China, I just talked about them in the sense of the voter fraud stuff. They are going to be heavily involved in cyber warfare here in the coming weeks and months as we lead up to the presidential election. Let's bring Tammy in. It's always good to see Tammy. Tammy, what is that? Oh,
hi, Josh. I've had enough light for the day. I had to put my blue blockers on.
There you go.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Good to see you.
Good to see you. I meant to send that. I sent it to you and I meant to send it in the chat. So in the chat, I saw some comments on here about Temu, and I just tweeted something about Temu yesterday. I think that Temu is a data collection honeypot. Absolutely. You don't get sandals for $1.96, Josh. You just don't. So is this an indication of where we're headed? I feel like the Chinese know that we're materialists, that I call us super consumers. That's my term for us. We've been led down the primrose path to be super consumers, consume instead of create. That's completely changed our dynamic, our culture, and our country. We used to be innovators and creators and known for all of the things that we create and innovate. And now we've shifted into this consumer model where it's all about what we have, and we wear what we have, and we drive what we have, and we live in what we have. It's all about what we have. And I think our enemies know this about us. And so when I see things like Temu, where you can buy things for free, Josh, for free. So if you buy a pair of sandals for $1.96, you can spin the wheel and get 100% off of the next thing you want to buy. How is that possible? You tell me.
You guys are crazy. I've only gotten 5%. Jeez, they were ripping me up.
It is a data collection apparatus, Temu, and I suspect that there are many, many other companies that are functioning in that capacity too. The question is, what are they doing with our data? What kind of data are they collecting? And what are we agreeing to that we don't know we're agreeing to? I can speculate. I think that they are recording. I think they gain access to your phone, and that you then give permission for them to record you up to a certain number of hours. Why do I think this? Well, Yuval Harari has surfaced again with yet another popular clip where he describes, I covered this on my show this week, he describes how we're all going to be living like we're in a job interview, except we're never going to get the job, but we're going to be re-educated to act like we're on a job interview, because if we don't, then they're going to be able to retrieve that information. Maybe you told an unsavory joke 10 years ago. Maybe you yelled at somebody 15 years ago. Maybe you did this. Well, guess what? Yeah. He says they have it all. They have it all. So we're all going to be on our very best behavior. Let me tell you, people have been talking about camps since COVID rolled out, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, we're going to all get put in camps. We're going to get loaded up in carts and put in camps. They don't need camps. They have digital re-education centers, because let me tell you, when you are ostracized, when you are banned and censored off of social media, there are consequences to that. I am not allowed on Facebook. Our radio show has our radio show has a Facebook page, and I can't operate it. And I tell you, I'm out of the loop. So, I see people and they say things to me about what they saw on Facebook, and I just stare blankly because I don't know what's going on. That's a microcosm of what a lot of people are going to experience when they get kicked out of the system. They'll have to grovel back in through re-education steps in order to retrain their behavior so that you can partake in society. And that's what he's talking about. That's what Yuval's talking about. He knows it because it's already happening. I mean, we already think twice before we post things on certain social media platforms, because we know it's going to hit us. We know it's going to ding us. So it's already happening. It's already happening.
Back in 2019, Nancy Pelosi talked about reforming the money credit system, the money credit score system. And she said at the same time is we should integrate it into a larger scale social credit system. There is a Black Mirror episode out there called The Future of Social Media.
Yep.
I urge everybody to watch this. It's about Lacey. And she's out there and she goes to get her morning coffee, and you hit someone's button like, oh, up, give me a like. But if you get downgraded, you lose your job, you lose your house, and this is actually happening right now in China.
Yep.
To where if you have a bad social credit score, you cannot get finance, you can't get a car, you can't get housing, you can't get, you'll get fired from your job.
Yeah.
And what you're talking about there is literally true. And Yuval Noah Harari, like you said, he knows this because behind the intricate web structure that's being built for the future right now is the minds of the World Economic Forum that are kind of putting this together clandestinely by the utilization and integration through large financial institutions, through government monopolies, through the United Nations and various different grant-funded programs and NGOs. And they are intertwining this into the corporate, financial, educational structures of the world, indoctrinating people into this very, very radical socialist ideology that is being pushed out. Yeah. And here's the thing, is they don't give a shit who wins the war on freedom. They don't care if it's BRICS and Russia, if it's the West and the single new world order, if it's the United States sole winner. They don't care, because at the end of the day, they just stewed the chaos. They instigated it, but they already had the plans in place for after the chaos ensues, boom, here's a solution, and everything just rolls out. The same thing that happened with FDR, the New Deal, and everything after World War II. It was all pre-planned by the people who funded both sides of the war.
I totally agree with you. And the writing's on the wall. Like I said, it's already happening. You're already seeing people self-censor. And it's interesting because I had a thought when I was telling Jason what I thought about Temu and these different companies. And I said, it's going to get to the point where we're not even going to have to pay for stuff. So the way I see it, and this is just my kind of, my theory, if you will, I think what's going to happen is the chaos you just described is going to continue to sow, and however that falls out is how it's going to fall out. Maybe, riots in the streets, trouble on our soil. I'll leave it at that. And then, of course, we're coming to save you. And also, everything's going to be so cheap suddenly. But you're going to have to register to use the internet. You're going to have to register as a digital account because it's not safe anymore. Now that we've been through the new civil war, I mean, I'm not sure how they're going to market it to us. I don't have the vocabulary, but I know that this is what's going to happen. There's going to be this major event of distress in our country. And then there's going to be some fallout, a little bit of suffering, and then the solution will be rolled out. But the solution will be tied to some kind of perk, like free things or dirt cheap things because it's not actually the things that you're giving, you're giving away something for the things, but they've got everybody conditioned into this thinking of materialism. And so people will be like, well, everything's so cheap and everything's great. And oh, UBI, universal basic income, and you can buy things totally cheap. And in the meantime, they're harvesting. They're coming to another level of harvesting of information and data. And then eventually it'll go up to another level where they use that data against you.
Exactly. And I want everybody to think about Jeffrey Epstein, of what they were doing with their honeypotted operations. Imagine what happens when the data clause is removed and all of these corporations and private entities can go out there and collect any and all data that they want on you. Now you're going to go run for political office. You go out there, you start your campaign, you gain some traction, you rise up in popularity. The next thing you know, you have a meeting at a coffee shop by some person that you don't know, and they have a little folder with them. They open it up and they're showing you your search history. They're showing you embarrassing things that you've said online in private conversations. And they're saying you either comply or you drop out of this race, or this will be released and we will ruin you. In other words, they own you through the data. And this is one of the aspects of the power structure that they're going to bring about. Now, you talked about universal basic income, UBI. Now, I have mixed thoughts about this. Number one is it's completely communist socialist in its construction. No doubt about that. I read Klaus Schwab's 2014 book, The Fourth Industrial Revolution. All right. He talks about a very brave new world. Let's just say that. A brave new world. And here's the thing is, I mean, since 2014, 10 years ago, he was right, but he was right because they were guiding it this way. But also, if you just look at the technological evolution that was happening on the planet at that time, he was right there as well. And so you can kind of see how things were going to move in one way or another. And I guess they just had the ability to shape it, and they did shape it. Now, he is correct that artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and machine learning is going to displace 85% of the global workforce. He is absolutely 100% correct on this. But what he doesn't discuss or talk about, and I think that this is one of the massive reasons for all the technological suppression that is actually occurring on our planet right now, is the amount of other types of markets and jobs that arise out of that efficiency of the workload. So when you have AI and machine learning and all this stuff taking over all the skilled labor and all these other jobs, well, that opens the door for creativity. Now you have things like asteroid mining, technology to go out there to space, to, the travel industry, moon hotels, these types of things. If we had all of that, if we had a moon or a Mars base or something like that, that puts people back to work and allows them to earn livings and give them new opportunities. Not only that is blockchain technology. What's happening in crypto, and if we can keep this decentralized, it would be a very, very beautiful thing. And I think Donald Trump coming in with the regulatory aspect of this will be very, very beneficial to cryptocurrency. But cryptocurrency, they say in the next 10 years is going to be a $72 trillion market cap. Okay. Wow. I don't think people can fathom. We're at 1.5 trillion market cap right now. That's almost a 50x in trillions on that market cap. Where is that going to come from? Well, here's the thing is wealth is created every day. The value of money is just an intermediary of exchange. And I think that this is an important concept for everybody out there to understand. Money is absolutely worthless. Money is simply something that we've agreed upon to exchange in effort for creativity, experience, skill, and time. That we take our energy of all of those skills, experience, all of that to the marketplace. That marketplace says, hey, I need those things. It brings it in. It gives you an intermediary of exchange for your time and your energy. That's called money. Now you take that money and you go out there and you exchange it for things that you want to benefit your life, a house, a car, a vacation, food, or whatever it is. And so it's this kind of equivalent exchange. The problem is with fiat currency is that we have the hyperinflation. So the cost of the things that you want are going up and the cost of the inter-exchange is going down, which basically saying that you have no value anymore. Your value is worth less to the marketplace because things are becoming more efficient. Well, really because of the radicalized spending. But if we had a system that was built up upon that whole simplistic idea, this means that new wealth, that 72 trillion will be new wealth. We only have about $100 trillion in global GDP. That's massive. We're going to double that over 10 years with just blockchain technology, which means that you're going to have $72 trillion of new wealth created, which means that the idea of creativity goes back into that system and begins creating new types of jobs for people and services for people, which if anybody's listening and they're worried about what Tammy and I are saying, this is your key to understand that if you become tech savvy, just a little bit tech savvy and very creative, you could land very, very big in this coming market dynamic. And it's one thing that Klaus Schwab did not talk about. He didn't talk about all the expansive markets that derive from the efficiencies of AI, quantum computing, and machine learning. So what they want people to think is, oh, UBI is the only solution. UBI is the only solution. You have to go with UBI because then they control you. And what happens with that UBI is a tokenized exchange. So
absolutely,
they're going to give you 2,000 UN credits a month. 1,000 of those UN credits can only be used for housing. 500 can only be used for food, and then the other 500 can be utilized to pay all of your bills, and you have none left over, and you're not going to have any allocated for entertainment and for happiness or for progression of freedom or creativity. That's the system they want to put you in, and that's what they want you to think in the sense of the trap. That's why a lot of us push for decentralized cryptocurrency.
Yeah, a couple of thoughts come to mind there. First of all, when you're talking about the idea of new jobs arising, I had a conversation with Joel Salatin this week on my show. He's the regenerative farmer, the lunatic farmer. He goes by, great guy. We need to go back to some of these staples of the way we're living too. Why can't we have a model where we're taking technology and using it for good, but we're also saving what matters? We were talking about how efficient it would be if we could replicate small farms throughout the country. There are so many people that actually want to work with the land. They want to be farming and producing in that way. But the way our centralized food system is set up, it's not conducive to that. They don't want that. In fact, they want to regulate small farms out of the whole food chain. They have 80% of the market share right now in industrialized food supply. They want that last 20% instead of supporting the 20, which makes absolutely no sense when you look at it from a commonsensical approach. It's got to be nefarious agenda, because nobody in their right mind would want a centralized food system, right? Because that makes it a target for your enemies. I mean, it makes sense to have multiple small farms all across the country, all producing stuff, all giving work to Americans. Everyone's, contributing to the food supply. That makes a lot more sense than having a hub where something can be, taken out by our enemy. It just doesn't make sense. But he was talking about how in Italy, they actually have in the sides of the road and whatnot, they have 1/4-acre plots where they allow people to grow and harvest food and provide that for the local restaurants. That's an income. That's an income for people. It's also a lot of young people will use it to get into their first home or whatever. It's an additional stream of income for people. It just makes sense to be able to do that, to use that formula. So yes, I think, technology jobs in the future are a good thing to focus on, but also we have to fight for a better food supply. And we can use the natural way of farming, regenerative farming, build up our soils and win in that way, because we're producing a better quality of food for people. We're giving people purpose and we're giving people a source of income. Let's go back to that. It's an old way of producing food, but it's a much more sustainable, regenerative, and especially since we're going to be losing a lot of jobs, as they keep telling us, you're going to be losing. It's all about lack. They want to push that fear of lack on you all the time. Well, let's put people to work with things that are meaningful, where it can be a win-win. The other thing I wanted to mention when you talk about UBI is, did you know that in Canada right now, the Canadian government is funding employers 75% of the wage if they employ an immigrant, or a refugee. The government is paying 75% of your employee's wage if you hire an immigrant. So what this is doing in British Columbia, especially, that's where all my family is, you can't get a job unless you're an immigrant, because why would a business hire somebody they have to pay 100% of the wage for when the government will pay 75% of that employee's wage because they're an immigrant? So,
that should be illegal. I mean, that should be illegal in any governmental system.
Of course, but this is communism. We are dealing with never in my wildest dreams did I think America would put up with a communist country on its border. But this is what is happening in Canada, and people have no idea. They are, they have this massive influx of immigrants. They had almost, very little immigration over there before. I mean, we're talking about a country of 35 million. Right? I mean, people don't realize how few people there are in Canada, but to have, these people pouring in at their borders now, it's completely changing the culture. I mean, I saw a video today of downtown Montreal where there was a large group of Muslims praying in the street. And this has actually happened in my sister's place of business. A rainstorm occurred, and she had a whole family of Muslims come in and pray right there in her office. This is changing the culture of Canada, and this is our neighboring country. I mean, I don't understand why there's been, well, I do understand why, but I'm alarmed at the fact. And then today, Josh, just today, I saw a viral video going viral, and this is complete propaganda, of a Muslim woman all dressed in a hijab approaches a Western dressed woman who was in Germany, but she's dressed, in a Western regular fashion. And this woman offers her a hijab, and the woman puts it on, and then they show her crying with happiness afterwards. Okay, this is propaganda. And I hate to be speculative, and I'm not trying to, encourage any kind of discrimination or anything, but I have had this vision, if you will, that this is going to be an issue for us in our country, that this Sharia law is coming. It's inching closer. And the more we spin into chaos and debauchery, quite honestly, I mean, we're at a level of debauchery when we're butchering children's bodies to conform them into a different gender. This is debauchery. That at some point, the pendulum is going to swing way, way back, and it's going to become very rigid. And the most popular religion on the planet is Muslim religion. So what a mechanism to be used in order to say, well, this thing is spun right out of control. Western values are off the charts. It's debauchery. Here's the solution. We have all these people here that think this way. Now conform or get out. And that, like I said, this is my opinion, but this is something I've seen coming and felt coming for quite some time. And I think that we should all be very concerned about it.
I agree. And it's not only just one radical ideology. We're being inundated by multiple radical ideologies at the same time, where people who care have to pick and choose their fights and their battles. And, it's not necessarily like I have no problem with somebody if they're Muslim or if they're gay, right, or if an adult believes that they're a man or they're a woman. I could care less. I mean, if that's your life and that's the way you want to live your life, great. But the moment you start imposing it in the sense of law, the moment you start telling me that I have to recognize somebody because of their ideology, the moment that you start telling me that it is illegal for me to speak my mind against my own beliefs and that to adhere to my ideology because it's more radicalized than theirs, now we have a fucking problem.
Bingo. Exactly.
And see, that's the problem with the world today is number one is you have the social construct, which is creating a system of indoctrination for not only our children, but even for adults in the sense of driving entertainment and Hollywood and all these different things into this clutch of these various ideologies. But then on the educational side, you have it happening to our children at such a young age. I mean, what was, I forgot the guy's name, but he said, give me a child at age 7 and I'll show you a Catholic for life. And that's the truth, is that their minds are easily melded and molded into whatever you want them to become at that very, very young age. And what's happening is these kindergarten, first and second grade teachers are going in there and they're promoting these very, very horrible and mentally ill ideologies to our children. And our children are growing up with this false delusionment of the world. And I think at the end of the day, what it really is number one, the rise of Islam, I think is number one. So number one is Islam is an interesting type of religion because it has an aspect of male dominated control buried within its structure, as well as this high level of authoritarianism built within Sharia law. So I think that that's one of the reasons why that has been chosen and picked as this foundational religious ideology to radicalize, because it scares the shit out of most people. I mean, anybody would be scared of a guy with a machete coming at you or a bomb coming at you. But on the other hand, I think that it's meant to destabilize all the other religious ideologies in the world to get to everybody to a point where, hey, we don't need religion. Let's just love nature. I think that that's really
one world religion.
I think that's what the rise of Islam is all about right now, is to draw people to say, hey, look, we did bad things because of religion. Look at this war that we just fought, Iran and Israel and all this stuff. We need to get rid of that. I think that's where that's moving to. But then on the other side, in the sense of the radical ideologies of gender, this is moving towards the lack of self-identity, the lack of self, the lack of individualism. A lot of what Ayn Rand used to talk about in the sense of the collectivism ideologies, right? Altruism. This is what they're trying to do, is build this altruistic society to where everybody is working like an ant farm for the betterment of the ant farm and not for the individual basis. So they first have to strip you and remove you of the base of your identity. And for everybody on this planet, that is primarily your gender. If they can change how you think at that level and structure, now they can implement any type of routines that they want into your life, and you become subservient to their control dictates.
Yeah, and I think that's evident in Islam when you see how women are forced to dress. You can't tell one woman from the next when you're in a smock from head to toe. You can't. There's no individuality there, and that should alarm everyone, that you can't express your own individuality. So yeah, it's totally scary. Another thing I wanted to talk to you about tonight, Josh, is I stumbled upon some crazy stuff about black goo and graphene and just the operations that are going on kind of behind the scenes. I hadn't heard a lot of these companies, and that their focus is primarily graphene. Graphene was discovered back in 2004 or something, and
graphene oxide.
Back in 2004, and they promised all this stuff with it, right? It was like such a huge discovery, and then everything kind of went quiet, and we didn't really hear a lot about it. But then we had biotech explosion, right? So this merger of health and technology that they kind of renamed biotech. And I came across some stunning clips. I think Jason sent them over to you through WeTransfer. If you could get them, great. If you can't, no big deal. But I wanted just to spread the news about some of these companies because they are flat out telling you. Do you remember when they were telling us we were all crazy? Remember when they were gaslighting us and telling us, oh, Bill Gates is putting a chip in you. Oh, yeah, we're getting hooked up to the hive mind. Remember when they were gaslighting us about all that crap? Yeah. Well, not so much crap when they tell you that that's what they're doing in their videos for their corporations. There's a company called Graphene Flagship. And this guy, he's just telling you graphene is used for the purpose of integration with flexible electronic technologies, in addition to versatile surface chemistry for interface with biology. He's telling you this, which allows for continuous health monitoring, Josh, because don't we all want continuous health monitoring and Josh, and pharmacological interventions, right? Oh, this is wonderful. So we want to get gaslight me all you want with a chip in my brain. Yeah, we're not getting chips in our brains. We're way past that. We're way past chips in our brain. Okay. We're talking about the actual integration, right? And then you just brought up how, the gender transition stuff is really just a lead into this kind of transhumanism, this everybody's the same, equity. We're all the same here. We all need to be, genderless almost in the way of the way people see us. And then add in this bit of hooking you up to the Borg, which is essentially what it is. I mean, your breath, all of your biology will be tracked. And of course, they're going to pitch it to everybody like this is a good thing because it's about health and safety and you can live forever and download your brain into the cloud and all that stuff. But this is something far more sinister. And they tell you right here.
Let's watch. I got the clips, by the way. That's why I was going that way for everybody.
Our organs are made out of cells. And in every cell, there's this thing called messenger RNA, or mRNA for short, that transmits the critical information from the DNA, our genes, to the protein, which is really the stuff we're all made out of. This is the critical information that determines what a cell will actually do. And so we think of it like an operating system. And so if you could actually change that, which we call the software of life, if you could introduce a line of code or change a line of code, it turns out that has profound implications for everything. If you think about what it is we're trying to do, we've taken information and our understanding of that information and how that information is transmitted in a cell, and we've taken our understanding of medicine and how to make drugs, and we're fusing the two. We think of it as information therapy.
Information therapy.
Yes. So that's Tal Zaks. He used to be the chief medical officer of Moderna. And that video is from 2017. That's 2017. Now, fast forward to what we've been through, right? You're telling me they didn't access this technology with the COVID shots? Give me a break. Give me a break. The next one describes how graphene factors into all of this. So this is the black goo. And again, the vocabulary, the demeaning way that they went about anybody that suggested that this was actually a thing was crazy. It just fires me up because here they are talking about it. They're admitting to you exactly what it does.
Let's watch it.
Graphene provides several advantages when compared to current solutions, often made of metals like platinum. Firstly, graphene is soft and extremely flexible. It behaves as an electronic skin that enables perfect brain surface contact. Moreover, graphene leads to miniaturized brain sensors with a cell-like size, up to 40,000 times smaller than platinum-based sensors. This is less invasive and avoids unwanted side effects. Finally, graphene interfaces are easily coupled with modern electronics, contributing to the huge momentum of connected and smart devices, which is the key to future medtech and digital health solutions. Another key benefit of InBrain's graphene-enabled brain interfaces is their high resolution. Graphene devices offer 64 sensing dots, 16 times more than conventional platinum brain mapping grids. This gives doctors and surgeons a much-needed precision. When operating on brain tumors, for instance, InBrain's system will map the biomarkers related to functional areas doctors must avoid, minimizing the otherwise frequent complications of brain surgery. In the future, InBrain and the Graphene flagship will bring less invasive graphene-intelligent neuroelectronic therapies to the market. These systems will decode brain signals into medical solutions. Further down the road, these devices may advance brain-computer communication.
Further down the road, these may enhance brain device interfaces, right? I mean, it's insane. This guy too, another one telling you exactly what they're doing. This guy's kind of creepy. He's he's a little naive. It's almost like he's trying to drop you a hint without, getting scorched for saying it. Listen to this one.
Complexity of the world. It can be adjusted to the problem. So our smartphone actually is today's universal tool. I don't actually use it to make phone calls. And the most interesting thing is hidden inside, which is the kind of 15 sensors to measure almost anything. And there will be even more sensors in the future. What can we use this for? Well, we can connect those smartphones in order to build a global measurement system. But if you want to do this, we want people to use it and participate, and it's important that we build a system that we can trust. And that's why I advise to build this as a citizen web. If one company or one government would collect all the data that will be becoming available through the Internet of Things in the future, we couldn't do a step or say a word without being recorded. So I really think this should be created and managed by the citizens themselves. And it's very important that you are in control, that you can control what kind of data are being recorded and whether you're just using it for yourself or whether you're sharing it with others. And even after the data have been shared, it would be nice to have control of the data that have been produced. And for this, a personal data store could be used. It has been developed at MIT by...
What the heck?
So you're the cell phone. We're the cell phone in this scenario. Now watch this. This is graphene. Oh, this is going to blow your mind.
This is organic grape juice.
Yep. Watch.
Okay, we're going to do the grape juice test here. It's like a wine test. You can use wine also, red wine. And it's the Morgellon test. Morgellons. And we got rubbing alcohol here. We're going to use that too. So when my mom here spits this grape juice on this plate here, you're going to see a lot of little creatures wiggling around in there. Okay, so go ahead. We're going to do this. Fun stuff, I'm telling you. Okay, I'll be back in 2 minutes and we'll see what we get. Get ready to spit it on that plate there. Go ahead. Oh, that's attractive. Oh, nice. Oh my God, look at that crap. And that's not in the grape juice, by the way. We already did that test. This stuff is fibers and whatnot. Okay, go ahead. We're going to pour some little bit of rubbing alcohol. It's going to bring these things to screaming. Now you can really see them.
Yeah, I know you can see them.
No. Oh, yeah, that's so funny. I'm in the Twilight Zone, as usual.
A whole string of them.
Oh, God, this is even worse. We did it the first time, and it was bad, but this is even worse.
Yeah, you can see what it does. What you have inside of you.
Well, we all have this,
mouth.
folks, so the spraying is happening. It's over our heads today.
Self-replicating nanoparticles.
Yep, that's exactly it. And this is so it's already out there. It's already, it's being sprayed on us. It's in the food we eat. It's everywhere. The question is, how far are they going to be able to take this in terms of controlling population? And like the guy tells you, they tell you it's an operating system, right? They tell you exactly what they are doing here. So it's not about a chip in your brain and all that kind of stuff. No, this is real technology. This is the future they want to have. This is a transhuman 2.0 type of species that they're trying to create, merging this kind of technology into human beings. This is real. This is real. Like, we're here.
Well, you got to wonder what be behind it.
Yeah. Well, I think really, I mean, if you listen to people like Ray Kurzweil and Eric Schmidt and those types of people, to me, it's all about solving the ultimate problem, which is death. Death. They don't want to die. And they have this vision, this agenda of a utopian world where everything functions in a specific manner. And so there's a level of eugenics that comes along with that. Anyone that can't be for the system or partake in the way they want to see the world and the world to be, then eliminate them. They're useless eaters. And they want their names on this, Josh. I tell you what, I've learned through the years, more than people want recognition more than money, even. It's about recognition for people. It's about being seen and known for their achievements. And it's fascinating. So, there's a certain level of money that you get to when really, how much more money can you need? Do you want? These guys are at that level. It's not about money for them. It's about legacy and leaving their print on the earth.
Yeah, the ultimate narcissistic tendency is they want to be remembered and they want their name all over everything with high praise from the people that love them. It's interesting because this is something that I've talked about at extent, and I proposed a few years ago. I said, what if there was different types of alien species all throughout the galaxy? And what if there was something known as a Galactic Federation, which Donald Trump has kind of been labeled with Jaime Hashem and all these people? And what if there was this kind of like defensive pact, like in the sense that, hey, you're not supposed to harm developing societies and civilizations, but they can harm and destroy themselves? And so what if Earth was actually being invaded by something? And that what it was doing was at the same time terraforming the planet and building its own infrastructure and maybe even its own servant race. And then on the same point, eliminating the population that it no longer needed. To me, that's the only thing I always go back to is that for me, a human being to go out there at that level and that extent to do this, I mean, it's possible, it's plausible, it makes a lot of sense. But when I look at the alien agenda, that there's a movie in 1998 with Charlie Sheen called Arrival, and he gets a signal. He works for NASA. He gets a signal that comes in through the satellite, and he's like tells NASA about it, and NASA's like, we don't care. Next thing you know, he's shut down. And they take away all of his equipment at SETI. And so he goes and tracks the signal, and he finds out that it was actually came from Earth and it bounced off the moon. And he's like, that doesn't make any sense. It was being sent to this one star. And so he tracks the signal, and he goes down to South America, and he finds this one facility, and he goes in there, and he goes to the basement, and then there are these aliens that are putting on silicon bodysuits of humans, right? And they're the NASA director. They're the president of the United States. They're the head of the DOD. And what they're doing is pumping out greenhouse gases in third world countries to increase global warming, to terraform the earth very slow over time, but also creating various different things like pandemics to eliminate the population.
It's making a lot of sense, isn't it? I don't know if that's the case, but there's also something else to consider. What about the spiritual component? I mean, I feel like we are in a spiritual war because when you can't make any sense of anything, when right is wrong and wrong is now right, it feels to me like it is a spiritual battle here, and it's the oldest battle. It's the oldest battle from the Bible, right? Good versus evil. These people tell us who they are. I mean, I was just having this conversation with my sister the other day, and I sent her the logo of the apple. right? Of the apple. It's got a bite out of it. I mean, it's the oldest thing, right? Don't eat the forbidden fruit. They tell us exactly what they're doing and who they are. And it just escapes us for some reason. But if you look at it and you look at all the symbols they use and whatnot, they are signaling to you who they are. It feels like it's a spiritual battle. You look at some of these emblems like Chrome. Chrome is 3 6s. CERN is 6s. Like they're everywhere. When you start looking, look at the medical, the snake from the medical emblem, right? I mean, David Whitehead's the expert on the cybernetics. He breaks a lot of that stuff down in the medical field. It all can be traced back to a serpent. It can be traced back to demonology. We are fighting a spiritual battle here. Now, whether there's an alien component to that spiritual battle, could be. I don't know, but I know in my heart of hearts that it is a spiritual battle and that we have to stand firm in what we know is right. And if we don't keep repeating what's right, they're going to overtake it. These people with the agenda, like I said, we're in complete debauchery here. We are here in debauchery. And now, the final installment here is getting humans transformed into this, transhuman 2.0 species. We're really facing this. I know it sounds insane, but
I know it does, but it's the truth. It really is happening.
Yep.
And it's something that we all need to open our eyes to. And we are on the world is on the brink. That's the name of the show today. The world's on the brink. And I don't think people realize what comes next. And so it's going to be chaos. The world's going to be thrown into chaos. And then after the chaos this is going to be the foundation that is going to be built up for the agenda that is about to come. And this is what they want. And this is why they have bunkers all throughout the world where they're going to hide in during all the chaos. And they'll come out and, I pointed this out a while back. I said, green energy or the Green New Deal and all these types of things, solar panels, wind turbines. Do you ever notice that it can't sustain the amount of energy that cities or the countries need?
Yes.
That there's not enough out there to sustain the population, but there is enough out there to sustain about 500 million.
Yeah, it's the same reason why Obama and all his cronies continue to buy oceanfront properties, because I mean those things are going to fall right into the ocean, right? According to their ideology, but yet they're buying properties right there. I just was listening to somebody talking about like long haul trucking. The amount of energy and resources it would take to bring these batteries in for long haul trucking and stuff like that far exceeds the fossil fuel. Like there's no common sense here being used whatsoever. So that's how something else is at play here.
Yeah, 2 3,800-pound lithium-ion batteries. The amount of earth that has to be excavated for those 2 3,800-pound lithium-ion batteries is like, I think it's like 400 acres, 500 acres of land that has to be excavated just to get those. And that's just the perimeter. The depth is up to 500 feet. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's nonsensical.
7 people
make any
died
sense.
in the making of these lithium ion.
Exactly. On top of that, the lives and everything that goes into that. Yeah, it's not happening. It's not happening. And so we have to start looking at, what could be at play here, which is some of the things we've talked about tonight for sure.
Guys, visit redpills.tv/NIP, redpills.tv/NIP. That is Tammy's Substack. I urge you to go subscribe on over there. And then you can also find Tammy at naturallyinspiredpodcast.com. That's her primary website. And we have the Naturally Inspired Podcast now on Red Pill Project as well as Decentralized Media. You guys will see that once we get them into the queue. They'll be playing throughout the rest of this week. Excited for that, Tammy. And Tammy, thank you so much. She's going to be joining me every Thursday, guys. So make sure you're tuning in every Thursday for me and Tammy and our take on the world, because it's important and it's freaking full of facts for people out there who are not paying attention. But this is what we have to deal with, guys. So, Tammy, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Josh. It's always a pleasure, and you always teach me something. So thank you so much for your work.
Thanks. And guys, we're going to be heading over to the After Dark chat, socialredpill.com. You can go over there, help support me with a cup of coffee a month, $5.99. But you also get into that after chat on Thursdays nights. That starts in about 10 minutes. I'll see you on the Zoom. I'll be in there in about 15. Tomorrow, Conversations on the Fringe, to be determined. I'll let you guys know here in a little bit. Much love, respect. God bless. Take care. Have a great night. We'll see you guys next time.
Good night, everyone.
Spoon, that's impossible. Only try to realize the truth.
What truth?
There is no spoon.